seated.
Welcome to Talk Law Radio with attorney Todd Marquardt of the Marquardt Law Firm at marquardtlawfirm.com.
Welcome back to Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt, talking with Stephen Barrera, Scott Simpson with BRCK Criminal Defense, that's BRCK Criminal Defense, and we've been discussing how to stay out of trouble during Fiesta in San Antonio. This is our fourth segment. This is our legacy segment.
And now, it's time for the Talk Law Radio Legacy Spotlight. What's your legacy? Sponsored by Marquardt Law Firm.
Yeah, so Marquardt Law Firm sponsors the show, and we focus on business and estate law, including last wills, living trusts, and tax-protected inheritance plans. It's all about legacy. And the Bible talks about legacy. In the book of Genesis, chapter 48, verse 15, shows an example of Jacob's legacy for Joseph. Jacob says, "The God before whom my fathers Abraham and Isaac walked, the God who has been my shepherd all my life long to this day, the angel who has redeemed me from all evil, bless the boys," and here's the important part, "in them let my name be carried on." And so I never really highlighted that before, let my name be carried on, but that's our legacy. A friend of mine I had on the show, he said our legacy is the collection of the decisions that we make. And so I want to ask you guys about your legacy. Scott, since you're new to the show, you can go first.
Well, so I just had this conversation the other day with, there's a lot, as a senior prosecutor of the DA's office, I had the opportunity to mentor a lot of prosecutors. And we were talking in the hallway about, if you're a prosecutor, the Code of Criminal Procedure says your duty is to see that justice is done, which is unusual because a lot of states simply say seek justice. But justice doesn't mean just helping out the victim. It means being fair to the defendant too. Mm-hmm. But we were talking about there's some prosecutors who take satisfaction in always getting the maximum punishment instead of considering them as human beings. And what my friend told me, he said, the people who came up under you, they're more fair. The people who are mentored by other
awesome.
people, I was very happy to hear that. I felt like I can die in peace. People have said that
that's a great legacy.
Taught me how to be fair, and so that made me very happy.
Yeah. Stephen, what about you? I don't remember what you said last time when we were talking about Halloween.
Sure. So, hopefully a big part of my legacy, are these lessons that I learned from my father. Like I said, my father was an attorney, and he always viewed his clients as real people. Mm-hmm. And I know that, sounds obvious, but you know how this is. We are in the same industry. There are certainly attorneys out there who are just happy to take someone's money and may not really care about the actual person that they're doing the work for, right? I mean, so my father was very big on that, on seeing his clients as people with real problems, and he wanted to use his law license to help them. And so I hope my legacy is that there are people out there who say, I came to Steve with this issue. I was being accused of a terrible crime, and he saw me as a person. Like he understood that I wasn't defined by maybe this one thing, or I wasn't defined by this accusation against me. And he treated me with respect because, like Scott says, it's all about, seeing, the people that go through not just the criminal justice system, but just the law in general, like you and your partner Daniel do, as real people who have real problems, and we need to give them that respect and that dignity.
Yeah, and it's confusing, for lay people to begin with.
Absolutely.
So they need a guide, whether they did it or not.
And that's, part of our title, in addition to being an attorney, is being a counselor. And our job is to give people information so that they can make decisions that are best for them and their family.
Right.
And I officed with his father when I first came out of the DA's office. I'm older. I'm 64. And everybody loved his dad, and he carries on the tradition of being kind and pleasant to everybody that his dad had too.
That's awesome. Tell us what you brought with you.
Okay, so my grandfather, this is a Liberty Head silver dollar here, and my grandfather carried it in his pocket for good luck his whole life. And when he died, he gave it to my dad, who carried it in his pocket his whole life. And so it's worn so much that you can't see the Liberty Head on it, just for the camera. And so I don't carry it in my pocket like they did. I just keep it on my bookshelf. But this is something that I will give to my son when I pass. And my dad always considered it extremely lucky. And one time we were on a canoe trip in New Jersey, and the canoe tipped over and it fell into the river.
Oh, wow!
But it was shallow river, and we kept diving until he finally found it underneath of a root and pulled it back up.
Wow!
Yeah. Wow! Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that I've kept anything that long. That's several generations. That's a great family heirloom there. Before we go back to the problems and staying safe, I want to say something about legacy, because when you leave somebody an inheritance, you leave them whatever assets you have left, whether that be money in the bank or a house or a family farm or ranch. I like to ask my clients, well, what do you hope they will achieve by receiving that? And some people say they don't care. Some people have like objectives, like Jacob had for his sons, that they go out and continue doing good in the world. If you have a child or a beneficiary that's addicted to drugs or alcohol or gambling or anything like that, or if they're just bad with money, or if they can't hold down a job, there's a way to leave an inheritance to them so that it can be managed by somebody else, a trustee, to make sure that they don't do more harm than good with the money that you've lent them. And so we use a trust for that, and I just wanted the audience to know that that's possible.
It's important too. And one of the mistakes I think we make as family is we tell, and lawyers do it too. So we got a guy who's got a drug case, and of course they're, as part of pretrial, they're getting urinalysis, they're having to pee in a cup. Okay, we always tell them, you can't use drugs anymore. If you do, that's the end. Okay, if it was easy to stop using drugs and stop drinking, we wouldn't have these problems.
Right.
It's not easy. I always like to tell them, you really can't do this, but if you do fall off the wagon, start again the next day. Because we tell them all the time as attorneys and family, you can't ever do this again. If you do it, you ruin your life. When they do fall, they have a bad day and they do it once, they give up and they say, oh, I'm just worthless, I can't do it. Instead of, because that's what we've ingrained in them. We got to tell them, it's going to be hard, and you may fall down one day, you get back up and start again the next day.
Yeah, I love that. And plus your comment in the first or second segment when you said that everybody's redeemable. That's
Absolutely.
great. Okay, well, let's go back to Fiesta. There's going to be lots of events coming up. What are some of your favorite events?
So, I went to law school at St. Mary's University. So I'm partial to the oyster bake.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, when I was a student at St. Mary's University, I hated the oyster bake because the oyster bake takes place during finals. So I would be there studying for my finals, and they would start shutting down the campus. And then after the oyster bake, the campus smelled horrible. It just smelled like rotted oysters and spilled beer and what have you.
See, he was the nerd who was studying by the wrong party.
Yeah, right.
There you go. So, but I've always been partial to the oyster bake, and my father was a musician in addition to being an attorney. And so oyster bake's always been cool for me because he played some of the stages at oyster bake with his bands. And so that's always been near and dear to my heart.
That's fun. How about you,
I go to Niosa every single year. I get there when the gates open, and I make sure to get out early. When we talk about not getting in trouble, the later the night is, the more trouble's going to find you. So
Yeah.
get in early, have your fun, and get out before it gets crazy.
Especially if you bring your kids.
Exactly.
I suggest leaving before dark, because that's like when the switch happens, when all the heavy drinkers start showing up.
Right.
Well, and for Scott, that's probably when a lot of people that he prosecuted start coming out.
I've had people come up to me and say, "Hey, you were my prosecutor," and they say, "But you treated me fairly, thank you." So I've never had anybody give me grief. So
Okay.
That's the legacy. There you go.
yeah, but so please don't get sloppy drunk out there, because you get in trouble when you're not aware of your surroundings. And nobody and if you're always the guy of your friend group that they have to take care of because you're sloppy drunk, all of a sudden your friends aren't going to be going out with you anymore.
Yeah. And to go along with that, I would say if you're walking around, don't be looking at your phone. Because you might bump into somebody, you might cause somebody to spill their drink, or you might be the subject of a criminal attack.
That's exactly right. Yeah, it's staring at your phone, not being aware of your surroundings, and next thing you know, you're being pickpocketed, or somebody comes up and hits you, or whatever the case may be. Again, it's the idea that when you're going to these Fiesta events, you need to understand what you're going into. You're going into a very crowded place, and by and large, we have this conversation. San Antonio, we have good people in the city. Our city is very laid back. People are here to have a good time and enjoy themselves, and so you just have to be aware of those few people.
There are going to be some criminals down there.
There are going to be people who are not reasonable. They are there with short tempers and nothing to lose, and they have no. They won't hesitate to ruin your day.
And they know that you've got money.
There you are.
To spend on the food vendors and the drink vendors. And so they're going to be trying to figure out a way to get it from you.
Absolutely.
Don't carry cash. They take your charge card to get the tickets at Niosa and St. Mary's now, so you don't have to have cash anymore.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good thing. What are some other ways to stay safe?
If I always advocate when people are going to Fiesta, try to go with, maybe a group of people, right? I mean, if you're with a group of people, one, not only are you a little less likely to be hit with just a random act because you have other people kind of looking out for you.
Right.
There's safety in numbers. And then if you're with a group, maybe if you are a little too intoxicated, somebody else from that group can drive you or arrange for the Uber or whatever it is. So if it's possible, try not to go alone or just you and your spouse. Try to go with a group.
Let me give you 1 minute to say something about BRIC Criminal Defense.
Sure. So 210-874-5080, BRIC Criminal Defense. All we do is we represent people who have been accused of crimes, and we use our knowledge to try to get them through that situation and put them back to go on with their normal lives.
Thank you guys for joining me today.
It's a pleasure.
I appreciate it, Todd. Thank you so much.
We've been talking about the hidden legal issue blind spots of Fiesta and criminal defense, staying out of trouble and staying safe. I'm Todd Marquardt. I'll talk to you later.
This has been Talk Law Radio with attorney Todd Marquardt, brought to you by the Marquardt Law Firm. You can learn more at marquardtlawfirm.com. And be sure to listen to the full Talk Law Radio show Saturday mornings at 11 on 9:30 a.m. The Answer.
Each week, attorney Todd Marquardt talks about the law. His mission with the Talk Law Radio show and podcast is to help you discover your legal issue blind spots. In the beginning, God had one law. Don't eat from the fruit of that tree. Then came the 10 Commandments. Now we have federal, state, and municipal lawmakers that won't stop creating new laws. Laws that might impact you without you knowing it. Listen to the show and drop a line on Facebook or email host@talklawradio.com and let the host know what you think of the show, the topics you want to hear, and whether you want to be a guest.